Okay, imagine this. A market that's, well, exploding. Going from where it is now to potentially a multi-trillion dollar reality within just 10 years?
We're talking about artificial intelligence, AI.
Exactly, AI. And some projections, they're throwing around numbers like maybe $5 trillion by 2033.
It's it's almost hard to comprehend that scale.
It really is. And we need to get our heads around it because it's not just tech news. It feels like a fundamental reshaping of, well, everything, the global economy. So, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a critical topic, unpack it, and give you the insights you need without drowning you in data.
And today, it's all about AI. We're digging into a pretty comprehensive report that looks at the global AI market from almost every angle.
Right. And the scope of this analysis is pretty impressive. It looks out over the next decade or so.
Yeah, it covers everything. The different solutions, hardware, software, services,
Hmm.
the core technologies driving it all. Which industries are jumping in?
And how it's playing out geographically. It's a
Yeah.
big picture view.
A panoramic view, definitely.
So think of this as your shortcut. We've done the sifting for you, pulling out the most important stuff, the surprising bits maybe, to really help you understand where the action is.
Okay, so first things first. Let's establish what we actually mean when we say AI, artificial intelligence. It gets thrown around a lot.
It does. Easy to picture sci-fi robots, right? But really, at its core, AI is more like a collection of technologies. Technologies that let machines do things that, well, normally require human intelligence, learning, problem solving, understanding language, seeing things.
Like giving machines a cognitive toolkit, in a way.
Exactly. And under that big AI umbrella, you've got key areas.
Right, you have machine learning, or ML, where computers learn from data, like we learn from experience.
Then natural language processing, NLP, that's about computers understanding and using our language.
And computer vision, CV, letting machines see and make sense of images or video.
And robotics, obviously, where AI controls physical machines.
So it's quite broad.
It is. And here's something interesting the report highlights. It positions AI not just as another tech wave, but as a general purpose technology, a GPT.
Which puts it in some pretty serious company.
Right. The scheme engine, electricity, the internet. These are technologies that didn't just improve things, they fundamentally changed how society worked, built new industries.
That's a powerful comparison. And it feels particularly relevant now,
Yep.
especially with the recent, well, explosion of generative AI.
Oh, absolutely. Gen AI, the AI that can create stuff, text, images, code, that really feels like a tipping point, doesn't it? It brought AI's potential into everyone's view practically overnight.
It really did. It made it tangible for so many more people.
Okay, so back to those huge numbers, that multi-trillion dollar figure. Trying to nail down the current market size, say for 2023 or 2024, it's actually surprisingly tricky.
It is. You see a pretty wide range in estimates, maybe $150 billion on the low end, up to over $600 billion.
Why such a big difference?
It often comes down to definitions. What exactly gets counted as the AI market? Some analyses are broader, some narrower, plus forecasting methods differ.
Makes sense.
But the key thing really isn't the exact number today. It's the universal agreement on where it's heading.
Which is just up, way up.
Way up, exactly. When you look out to 2033, consistently, the forecasts point to a multi-trillion-dollar market. We're seeing ranges like $2.5 trillion, maybe even over $5 trillion.
And the speed of that growth, the compound annual growth rates, the KGRs, they're often cited between, what, 19% and sometimes up to 40%.
That's right. For the period 2025 to 2033, those KGRs are incredibly strong. A 30% or 35% TIGR isn't just growth, it's rocketing upwards.
It really paints a picture of acceleration.
And the report we looked at, it consolidates these views. It suggests maybe $320 to $500 billion in 2025, expanding to something like $2.8 to $4.8 trillion by 2033.
Wow.
That implies a CAGR in the 30% to 38% range. Very robust.
So what's been lighting the fuse for this? This kind of growth doesn't happen in a vacuum.
No, definitely not. We've seen huge leaps in the underlying tech, especially machine learning and deep learning algorithms.
Right.
The sheer amount of data available now to train these models is just unprecedented. And computing power has grown massively, the GPUs, cloud computing.
Big investments too, right? Both private and public sector pouring money in.
Absolutely critical. Investment has been huge. And as we mentioned, that generative AI boom since late 2022 just added a whole lot of extra fuel to the fire.
Okay, so we've got the scale, the speed. What are the main things pushing this forward now, the drivers, and what could potentially slow it down, the restraints?
On the driver's side, It's ongoing tech advancements, for sure.
Yes.
Better algorithms, more compute power,
Yeah.
better data handling.
And the data itself, just more and more data being generated.
Exactly. Big data is the fuel. Then there's the huge demand for automation and efficiency. Businesses are seeing potential productivity gains of like 40% or more in some
That's
cases.
transformative. You can't ignore that.
You really can't. Plus, the promise of better customer experiences through personalization. Significant investment is still flowing in, and honestly, it's becoming a competitive necessity. If your competitors are adopting AI, could you afford not to?
Good point. It becomes table stakes.
Okay, but it can't be all smooth sailing. What are the hurdles, the challenges?
There are definitely significant ones. High implementation costs are a big barrier, especially for smaller companies, SMEs.
Yeah, I can see
There's
that.
a major talent shortage. Finding people with the right AI skills is tough, globally.
Data privacy and security are huge concerns too, right? Especially with regulations like GDPR.
Absolutely. And then you have ethical concerns, issues around bias and algorithms, the whole black box problem where you don't always know why an AI made a certain decision.
Integration can be tricky too, trying to mesh AI with older legacy systems.
Very complex, often. And finally, the regulatory landscape is still evolving. Things like the EU AI Act create some uncertainty for businesses navigating compliance. So a lot to navigate. Okay, the report breaks the market down by solutions. Hardware, software, and services. Let's start with hardware. What does that cover?
AI hardware is basically the physical gear that makes AI work. Specialized processors, CPUs, GPUs, the newer TPUs, NPUs, custom chips like ASICs, FPGAs, plus the memory, the networking stuff needed to handle all that data.
And how's that segment doing? Is it the biggest piece?
Not always the biggest in dollar terms right now, but it's experiencing absolutely explosive growth. The AI chip market in particular is just booming. Some projections show hundreds of billions in growth just in the next few years, with staggering KGRs.
Wow. So the demand for the actual computing power is intense.
Hugely intense. The overall AI hardware market is looking at really strong growth rates, driven by the need to train bigger models and build out the infrastructure.
What are the key trends within hardware? Still all about GPUs.
GPUs, especially from NVIDIA, are still dominant for heavy-duty training, yes. But we're seeing a big push towards specialized hardware. Google's TPUs, custom chips from Amazon, Microsoft, hardware tailored for specific AI tasks.
Makes sense.
Edge AI hardware is another big one, putting processing power directly on devices for real-time decisions. Think smart sensors, industrial IoT.
Less reliance on the cloud for some things.
Exactly. Lower latency, better privacy sometimes. Energy efficiency is also becoming critical because these models use enormous amounts of power.
Yeah, I've read about that.
And finally, just massive investment in infrastructure by cloud providers, by governments, to build the capacity needed.
Okay, fascinating. Let's move to software. What's in the AI software bucket?
This is all the non-physical stuff. AI platforms for development, tools, frameworks, pre-trained models you can adapt, AI marketplaces.
Specific applications like chatbots or analytics tools.
Yes, those two. And importantly, AI as a service, AIS, where you access AI capabilities via the cloud.
Is software where the biggest slice of the revenue pie is currently?
Often, yes. It tends to hold the largest share right now. And the forecasts show continued strong growth overall. AIS in particular is growing incredibly fast. Some projections see it becoming a $100 billion plus market itself within the next decade.
Because it makes AI more accessible.
Precisely. Lowers the barrier to entry. Key trends here. Cloud is dominant. So something like 70% of AI software is deployed in the cloud.
Right.
We're seeing more integrated platforms, tools covering the whole AI lifecycle. AI is
Yeah.
accelerating, obviously.
Right.
And generative AI is just exploding within software. Some predict it could be half the AI software market by 2030.
Half. Wow.
Yeah. Also, more verticalization software tailored for specific industries. And while the market's fragmented now, expect some consolidation down the line.
Okay, that leaves services. What does that involve?
AI services is all about the human expertise needed to make AI work in the real world. Consulting on strategy, integration services to connect AI with existing systems.
Building custom models, preparing data.
Exactly. Data prep, deployment, maintenance, training people, managed AI services,
Yeah.
supporting those AIS platforms. It's a broad category.
And is this the fastest growing piece? I feel like I've heard that.
It consistently comes out as the fastest growing segment, yes. The KNGRs projected here are often the highest, potentially exceeding 40%.
Why such high demand for services?
Complexity is a big part of it. Implementing AI effectively is hard. Many companies just don't have the in-house skills for data science, model building, integration.
The talent gap we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. That feeds directly into demand for services.
Yeah.
Businesses also need help defining their strategy, figuring out the ROI. And even with AIS making tools easier to access, you still need experts to leverage them properly.
And generative AI must be driving demand for specific services too.
Absolutely. Things like prompt engineering, setting up governance for responsible AI, building custom Gen AI apps, that's all creating new service demands. The growth here really shows the market maturing beyond just buying tools to needing expertise to get value.
So stepping back, hardware, software, services. How does the market share look now, and how might it shift by, say, 2033?
Right now, 2024, it's often software and services vying for the top spot, maybe 35–40% each, with hardware making up the rest, maybe 20–25%. But the projections for 2033 suggest a shift.
Services takes the lead.
Very likely. With its super high growth rate, services is expected to increase its share significantly, potentially becoming the largest segment. Software will still grow strongly, but its relative share might stabilize or slightly decrease compared to services.
And hardware?
Hardware will grow substantially too because the compute demand isn't going away, but its overall share might stay relatively stable or even slightly decline compared to the other two.
That's a really key takeaway, the growing importance of implementation and management expertise.
It really underscores that trend, yes.
Okay, let's switch gears again. The report also looks at the core technologies within AI. What are the main ones driving things?
The big ones are machine learning, ML, deep learning, DL, often talked about together, then natural language processing, NLP, computer vision, CV, the headline-grabbing generative AI, Gen AI, and edge AI.
Let's quickly touch on each. Machine learning first. Foundational, right?
Absolutely foundational. Systems learning from data without explicit programming. It powers recommendations, fraud detection, optimizing processes, tons of applications. Growth is strong, driven by things like AutoML, making it easier to use.
And deep learning is a subset of ML.
Yes, a specialized subset using deep neural networks. It's behind many recent breakthroughs in vision, language, speech, Gen AI. It needs lots of data and compute power. Strong growth here, too.
NLP, natural language processing. That's about language.
Right. Computers understanding and generating human language. Think chatbots, sentiment analysis, translation. Huge growth driven by the need to analyze text-speech data and automate communication. Large language models have supercharged NLP recently.
Computer vision letting machines see. Where's that being used most?
Autonomous vehicles are a big one, obviously, but also medical imaging, quality control in factories, retail analytics, security. Progress in deep learning and better sensors are key drivers here.
Generative AI. We've touched on it, but its impact seems unique.
It really is. Creating new content, text, images, code. Its growth is explosive because it's applicable almost everywhere. Content creation, coding help, customer service, drug discovery. Powerful foundation models are making it very accessible.
And finally, edge AI processing on the device itself.
Exactly. Running AI locally, not in the cloud. Crucial for real-time stuff like autonomous systems, industrial IoT, smart devices, driven by needs for low latency, privacy, reduced bandwidth. Growing fast as the hardware gets better and cheaper.
So looking at market share among these technologies, how might that evolve? ML, DL are probably biggest now.
Likely the largest combined share now, yes.
Yeah.
NLP and CV are also significant. Gen AI is smaller, but growing incredibly fast.
And by 2033.
Gen AI is expected to see the most dramatic share increase. You can potentially become the largest single segment because it's just so versatile. MLDL remain fundamental, often powering Gen AI. NLP-CV continues strong growth. And Edge AI becomes more integrated everywhere.
It's clear AI is touching almost every industry. The report looks at specific end users. Let's hit some highlights. Healthcare.
Healthcare is huge. AI and medical imaging, speeding up drug discovery, personalizing medicine, optimizing hospital workflows, virtual assistants, robot-assisted surgery. The potential is massive for better outcomes and efficiency.
But challenges too, like data privacy.
Big time. IPA, validation hurdles, it's a sensitive area, but adoption is accelerating fast.
What about finance? BFSI, banking, financial services, insurance?
They were early adopters. Fraud detection is a massive use case, algorithmic trading, risk assessment, chatbots for customer service, personalized advice, compliance checks, security and regulation are paramount here.
Retail and e-commerce must be heavy users too.
Oh, definitely. Personalized recommendations, think Netflix or Amazon, that's huge. Customer service bots, Demand forecasting, dynamic pricing, targeted marketing, supply chain optimization, even using vision in stores to analyze shopper paths. Competition drives adoption here.
Automotive and transportation. Beyond self-driving cars.
Self-driving and driver assist, ADAS, are major drivers, yes, but also predictive maintenance for vehicles, optimizing manufacturing, better in-car infotainment, traffic management, even usage-based insurance. Safety and regulation are obviously key.
And manufacturing, smart factories.
Exactly. Predictive maintenance for machines is big, preventing downtime, quality control using computer vision, AI-powered robots, optimizing production lines, supply chain management, generative design for new products, digital twins, all about efficiency, quality, flexibility.
It's incredible how widespread it is. Okay, let's look at the map. Geographically, where's the AI market concentrated?
Right now, North America, especially the U.S., holds the largest share. Strong tech ecosystem, lots of R&D investment, many leading companies based there.
But not necessarily the fastest growing.
Correct. The Asia-Pacific region, particularly led by China and India, is projected to be the fastest growing AI market globally.
Why is APAC growing so quickly?
Big government initiatives pushing AI development, rapid digitalization across industries, huge domestic markets, China's heavy investment, India leveraging its digital public infrastructure. These are major factors.
What about Europe?
Europe is a very significant market too. Strong industrial base, big focus on ethical and trustworthy AI, like the EU AI Act. Good government support as well.
And other regions, Latin America, Middle East, Africa.
They're seen as emerging markets. Lots of potential as digital transformation picks up pace there. There's strong growth rates, often from a smaller base.
So North America leads now, APAC catching up fast, Europe strong and focused on regulation.
That's a good summary. Each region has its own dynamics, strength, and priorities shaping its AI journey.
We have covered so much ground here. This report is dense, but hopefully we've distilled the key points. To wrap up, what are the absolute crucial takeaways listeners should hold on to?
Okay, three main things, I think. First, just the sheer, almost unbelievable scale of the projected growth. Multi-trillion dollars. It's going to reshape the economy, period.
Yeah.
Second, while hardware is vital, the real action in terms of market share growth seems to be shifting towards software, and especially services. It highlights that using AI effectively, integrating it, managing it, that's becoming just as, if not more, critical than the tech itself.
The how is becoming as important as the what.
Exactly. And third, the disruptive power of generative AI is undeniable. It's changing things rapidly across the board. And alongside that, watch the rise of the Asia-Pacific region that signals a major shift in the global AI power dynamic.
That's a fantastic summary. So for you listening, hopefully this deep dive gives you that essential context, helps you understand this pivotal technology shaping our future professionally and personally. We aim to give you that shortcut to feeling informed.
And maybe it leaves you with a final thought to chew on. Given this incredible growth, this pervasive spread of AI, what do you think will be the most significant, maybe the most unexpected way AI will impact your own work, your industry, or even just your daily life in the next 5 or 10 years?
That's a great question to ponder, something to think about long after this deep dive ends.